Y'all ever heard of Smash TV? Yeah, me neither. I was recently watching a Larry Bundy Jr. video and it came up, so now I get to talk about it. For those of you born after the fall of the arcade, Smash TV was a titan of its era. An isometric twin-stick shooter from the 1990s that, if legends are to be believed, you could recognize from across the arcade by its iconic soundtrack and wacky aesthetic. Apparently it ripped off RoboCop and The Running Man a lot, but to be fair, it wasn't at the time. The basic plot synopsis is that you play as one of these two characters in this sort of death game show where you kill waves of people and earn, I don't know, VCRs, I guess. And if you get enough keys, you can enter the Pleasure Dome. Except you can't actually. The developers at Midway decided the game was so hard no one was ever going to beat it, so they just didn't make an ending. Obviously, people beat it because the human spirit is unbreakable. So they got tons of complaints about it, and they eventually got one. After making it to the Pleasure Dome, you gotta beat the show host on a tank, I guess. He heckles you the whole time, which is fair, I suppose. We're killing him. Once you do, one of your prizes is a lifetime supply of women. Now, putting aside how strange and misogynistic that is, which I cannot stress enough is wildly hard to do, I have tons of questions about how this prize works. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is, who decides what a lifetime supply of women is? Is there some guy in the Smash TV corporate office calculating how many women a single man can, I don't know, destroy or whatever? And I can only assume they're using women in the truest sense of the word here, because I think generally speaking, for most heterosexual men, a lifetime supply of women is like one woman. Maybe 2, 3 if they're getting a few divorces. Does lifetime supply take into account high libidos or any given woman's libido? Of course it doesn't. I don't think they took into account a woman's anything, but that's besides the point. Did a higher up take a look at the original number for a lifetime supply of women and tell someone else that's too many women, we have to cut it? Do you think they went back and forth several times until they found the actual number of a lifetime supply of women you get in Smash TV? And speaking of, what's good with the women in the Pleasure Dome? If I win Smash TV, does my lifetime supply of women come with me? Can I only access them in the Pleasure Dome? Do I have to beat Smash TV every time I wish to see my lifetime supply of women? Am I paying for or taking care of these women? Are they perhaps volunteers? Do they get paid to be my lifetime supply? Are they getting paid at all? Oh god. Who's feeding this lifetime supply of women? Is it the company? Is this like a government grant? Do they have to stay in the Pleasure Dome with me? Or do they get lives outside of being my lifetime supply of women? Hey, I'm gonna take a break from the questions to actually let you know that this video is gonna be basically nothing but questions from here on out, so heads up, I guess. All of the women look the same, which I guess you could attribute to the fact that arcades don't have much in the way of processing power, but also this is a dystopian universe. Are these all real women? Are they perhaps robots or clones? That brings up a whole other slew of questions that I really don't want to get into right now, except, maybe I will. We'll see later. I can't get over this part. I desperately need to know what Smash TV's lifetime supply of women, actually is. I need to know the math behind how they came up with this. All these women seem to be quite physically fit and conventionally attractive, which implies that these women at least stay some level of healthy. Perhaps even work out a little. Is Smash TV corporate paying for their meals, or at the very least funding the meals required for these women to live/eat? Are they being forced to work out or keep a particular body image? Depending on how dystopian we're getting, they might be genetically modified to only be conventionally attractive. There's so much we don't know. The absolute best case scenario for the situation that these women are in is that this is some sort of volunteer position where hundreds of thousands of women are being housed, fed, and paid by Smash TV to stay in the Pleasure Dome for one of these two main characters to potentially marry. And even then, that sounds like a really weird and fucked up situation. Could you imagine what sort of specific dystopian society you would have to live in where best case scenario is volunteering or working at a corporation in which your explicit job is to hang around in a bikini until some guy shoots enough things to marry you, potentially? You know, I wrote that and immediately thought, that's almost where we are in real life, but that's besides the point. Like, I can't stress this enough, there's exactly one character that talks basically the whole game, and he's the misogynistic show host, who I cannot let you forget you kill at the end of the game while his torso is attached to a tank. A tank! This is before we even take into account, like, the characters you play as. I doubt two grown men shooting things and collecting, like, money and toasters from their corpses are particularly emotionally stable. Like, really stop and think about living in a world in which your 9 to 5 job is staying conventionally attractive for the type of man who would be excited to win a lifetime supply of women. Like, really imagine that. I certainly can't imagine one of these men buying you flowers on the first date. I'm not even sure you'd get a first date. Mostly because I'm not sure if you get to leave the Pleasure Dome, but also because I think these guys are the type to one and done anyone in their lifetime supply of women. It's truly difficult to divorce the situation from the misogyny that created it, but like, even ignoring the outright misogyny, every level of this seems like it would cause a problem. Like, how much revenue could this show possibly be receiving in order to fund a lifetime supply of women existing anywhere for even one person to maybe win? Like, I'm gonna go look up the most popular TV show right now. I'll be right back in a minute. I'm back. It's apparently really difficult to pinpoint what the most popular TV show ever actually is for a variety of reasons, but I was pointed towards the Super Bowl, which, while not exactly a show, is a viewing experience that happens to create a semi-consistent stream of revenue, or at least enough to support itself every year. The most recent Super Bowl made $8 million in gross advertising revenue from streaming events to an estimated 127.7 million people across all platforms. To compare, the most watched television broadcast in all of American history is the Apollo 11 moon landing, which an estimated 125 to 150 million Americans watched. Now, don't get me wrong, $8 million is a lot of money. More money than I, personally, will ever see in my entire life. And yet, I can't fathom a world in which $8 million is enough money to sustain the lives, much less lifestyles, that allow you to be conventionally attractive for an entire lifetime supply of women. How could Smash TV possibly be funding this on top of the cutting-edge VCRs and toaster ovens, not to mention all the gold bars and bags of cash you find on every loser you happen to kill in a wave on any given level? I couldn't find a good place to put this anywhere else, but like, what if I'm gay also? Like, could you imagine killing hundreds of nameless goons for the ultimate prize, and the prize is completely useless to you? Do you think they vet players beforehand to make sure they're straight? Or like, they ask and prepare a lifetime of guys if that's what you're after? Do bisexuals get a little bit of both, or do they just gotta vibe with what they get? Ultimately, I know the answer to every one of these questions is that the developers don't give a shit. And why would they? They literally didn't even think to put the ending in the game. Why would they think of what the ending implies? Honestly, outside of being the official finish line for an otherwise endingless game, I don't think this ending really adds anything or improves on the game at all. I can't even say it makes everything leading up to it worth playing, but I thought about it too long and wanted to make a video about it anyway, because that's what I do. I'm the Jellyfish Prince, and I hope you enjoyed my rambling. Bye.